All right, good evening. Oh, wait a second, I'm sorry. This is not March 21st. I'm gonna have to give me a minute to reload. There we go. Wouldn't mind having that month back, but that's all right. Okay, we'll try again. Welcome to the April 25th, 2022 regular business meeting with Board of School Trustees, held in public with a start time, we'll call it 6:05 this evening. If we could ask Mr. Hoffman to lead us in Pledge Allegiance, will you all may rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. All right, item 2 this evening, Board of School Trustees Resolution Accommodation Awards. We have 2.1, the Taft Dance Team for being named State Champions in Junior High Pom, State Champions in Junior High Ensemble, and State Runner-Up in Junior High Solo. The team featured Libby Brown, Elise Clark, Tyler Eberhardt, Kendall Fedak, Bailey Finnerty, Aubrey Godino. We'll correct any name pronunciations when we give the awards as well. Braylon McGrady, Madeline Rodriguez, Leah Sullivan, Caden Vader, Sophia Vorwald, Grace Zamora, and the coaches were Annie Vassar and Nicole Fisher. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel, I believe second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0, and now we're going to present the commendation to the dance team. Is there, Mr. Colson, do we have any parents that are left out there that we need to get invited into the boardroom? Okay. We ask the girls to join us. All right, so how about we read a commendation, and then we'll get a few words. Thank you for joining us this evening. The resolution of commendation. The Crown Point Board of School Trustees is honored to commend the 2021-2022 Robert A. Taft Middle School Dance Team for meritorious achievement. And be it hereby resolved that the Board of School Trustees for the Crown Point Community School Corporation wishes to express sincere congratulations to the 21-22 Robert A. Taft Middle School Dance Team for being the 22 state champions in Junior High Pom, Ensemble, and state runner-up in Junior High Solo. The Board of School Trustees publicly recognizes this achievement and renders it permanently to its minutes to be preserved for public posterity, dated this 25th day of April 2022. Congratulations. So how about I call your name, present you your commendation, then you come back up there in front, and when we're all finished, we'll get a picture and maybe hear a few words from the coaches. And I think I heard in the hallway that Dr. Terrell was a big fan of the dance, and so he'll give a little. Libby Brown. Oh, sorry, Libby, hang on. This way. Congratulations. Juggling here. Elise Clark. had a couple more. Nicole Fisher. Okay. And Coach, this is heard a little bit about your success through the grapevine. I fortunate to be friends with some of you and your families ahead of time, so I heard of all the good work you were doing and a couple opportunities that you all got to celebrate on your way home from victories. And I think here in the Crown Point School Corporation, if I'm not mistaken, the Schererville Lake Central district has always been pretty competitive and tough to beat.
Yes.
And you guys were able to knock them out this year. And you know, I know the state champion is something, but you got to get past the local first, right? So we're all very proud of you. You represented Taft and the school corporation in all your achievements. And just want to say thank you guys for doing such a great job, and always thank the parents for their support and traveling with you guys and getting you guys where you need to go. And Coach, of course. Coach, could you say a couple words about the team and give us a little insight?
Yeah. So I will say that out of my 10 years of coaching, this has been my hardest working team. They went above and beyond all season and achieved some pretty amazing things because of it. And not only that, the parents were amazing on top of that. So thank you guys for all that you did as well in the community for the amazing things that we were able to see come from these kids.
Anybody else? Dr. Terrell?
Sure. If you guys haven't had a chance yet to see this, I really feel like we probably should have had this queued up ready to play. It's really amazing. And as I was talking with your coach, seriously, out in the hallway, I said she took all the credit. She actually put it all back on you guys, on your parents for all the work. If you guys get a chance to watch this video, you'll know that the hours that went into this are countless, I'm sure. So congratulations and thank you. We appreciate the way you represented our school corporation, but also our community. Thank you.
You guys. I'm sure if there's a group ready to be photogenic and smile, it's you guys. So Miss Allen's going to take some pictures for us. Parents and TAP dance team, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you. Always welcome to stay, but get out while the getting's good.
It's fitting.
I forgot. I should have asked. I know I'm mic'd here, but I should have asked Coach to come to the podium so that they could hit. Okay. Okay, item 3, patrons' comments. Patrons register for comment on educational issues. We did begin the practice of reading this a few months ago, and we'll continue to do so, that everybody understands the guidelines. The guidelines, the board will hear patrons who are legal residents in Center Township or Winfield Township wishing to comment on educational issues at the regular business meeting of the Board of School Trustees held in public. Patrons must sign the sheet provided in the back of the boardroom prior to the start of the meeting. When their names are called to address the board, they will move to the podium in front of the room, state their names, spell them for record-keeping purposes, addresses, and the topic that they will be addressing. If patrons have prepared written statements on a topic, they may present at this time. A limit of 3 minutes is allowed for each speaker. We'll ask Mr. Angel to be our clock keeper. He'll give you a little warning at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and pretty abruptly cut you off at 3 minutes. The portion of the meeting during which the participation of the public is invited shall be limited to 20 minutes unless extended by a vote of the board. If we go beyond 20, we've accommodated extra minutes recently in board meetings. Speakers are to refrain from speaking on personnel issues and student issues. Okay, thank you. This evening we have Jennifer Carr. Jennifer, would you come forward, please? Good evening.
My name is Jennifer Carr, C-A-R-R. I live at 12420 Washington Street here in Crown Point. Our topic that I'm speaking on today is the start of the 2022-2023 school year. I'm here on behalf of more than 4,300 supporters of the petition to delay the start of the school year until after the Lake County Fair concludes. Some of the reasons why people have signed and why we believe the decision to start on August 10th during the fair is ill-conceived are concerns about the safety of children walking home from several schools while fairgoers and fair workers from other communities increase the traffic and possibility for unfavorable interactions. Concerns about the safety of everyone involved with pickup at the end of the day for many of the schools around and on the way to the fair. We all know this is already a hot mess. Adding more traffic is ridiculous. Based on the March 2021 recording of the board meeting, the comments made at the coffee with the superintendent, and the superintendent's statement as quoted by the Times that safety is not that big of a concern, it does not appear that the safety of our children was ever seriously considered in the decision. Shameful. Concerns about the mental well-being of children who love the fair and live their best lives there nearly every day. For many, the fair brings joy and creates lifelong memories, hanging out with friends, laughing, having fun, just being kids. We owe it to them after all that's been taken for them because of COVID. Participation in 4-H. 4-Hers shouldn't be forced into deciding between school and their passion and what they've been working towards all year. Excusing their absences doesn't mitigate this. The corporation should continue to be a good community partner and not impact the operation of the fair by taking away parking options. Additionally, vendors in the fair itself will be negatively impacted financially by this decision. Also, parents feel misled by the corporation's survey and in no way voted or were interested in this decision. August 10th is also just way too early from a weather standpoint. Kids have more opportunities to be active outside during the warmer weather in August, and several school buildings are not adequately air-conditioned. And finally, concerns for community members whose businesses thrive in the warmer weather. Starting school early in August will financially impact these institutions as well. There are many other reasons that I've been reading on social media that I will not go into here, but there are a lot more reasons why this is not a good decision. We appreciate the desire to hold final exams for high schoolers before winter break. This, however, is not an either-or proposition. To start school after the fair on August 15th or have finals taken before winter break. We can achieve both. The current calendar has winter break starting on Wednesday, December 21st. If we extend that week through Friday, we pick up the 3 days needed to delay the start of school until after the fair. This option was presented to me by current employees of the school system. Given the feedback from the community, we recommend you revisit the decision and determine the parents' preference. Mr. Board President, in an email to me, you indicated you'd bring this up in other business, so I look forward to your discussion and follow-up action items. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Bill McCall.
Hi, my name is Bill McCall, MCC, ALL. I live at 1215 Cheyenne Drive in Crown Point. When I spoke to you in October, I was asking for your help to use the Bulldog Stadium at Crown Point High School to showcase a lacrosse game consisting of a team comprised entirely of Crown Point students against a fellow regional team. I was told then that there were hurdles that would be difficult to overcome, but I've been working hard towards a solution in spite of it. I sent this board an email in October, another one 2 weeks ago. I appreciate your response, Mr. Warney. I'm interested in the reasons that you were told. I've sent emails to Mr. Durilla and received a response from him that I forwarded to you that said granting such a request was, quote, against school board policy. This past weekend, we played against Zionsville at their high school stadium, and afterward, I stopped for lunch at the same place that Dr. Terrell just happened to be eating. My good luck and possibly his bad luck. Sorry. It was. I'm not shy, so I asked him about my request. I I don't think he'll mind me saying that he replied almost verbatim that it was, quote, against school board policy. So I read the policies, all of which are online, and as I asked in my last email, I need help finding the policy everyone keeps telling me that prevents us from playing on the field. I couldn't find anywhere that the use of the stadium by the public is prohibited. In fact, it specifically lists that the stadium is defined as a recreational facility and can be available to community participants in Manual Policy Section 7000. I played varsity lacrosse with Crown Point written on my chest for 4 years, and I've been voted team captain in the last 2. And as captain, I'm here representing the 39 boys, all of whom are Crown Point students. Many are here with me. 22 girls who wanted to be here but are playing Chesterton at Chesterton's stadium, as well as the 76 kids in the youth program from kindergarten to 8th grade, who see us, the high school students, as examples of what dedication and hard work can bring them. Distinguished board members, we are known by every team that we play against as Crown Point High School lacrosse team. We consist only of Crown Point High School students, and we only have 2 home games left against regional opponents. This Wednesday against LaPorte, which we're going to be honoring our youth teams at halftime, and May 11th against Munster, which is our senior night. I'm here to officially submit an application to hold these events at the stadium, and I'd like your support. Help me get to the answer yes. The policies say that it's possible, it's even clearly defined. When I started this in October, I had a whole season. I'm down to only 2 games now. I'm in the same place I was last October, just with a little more knowledge, but I need your help. If there's a policy in place, help me find it, or better yet, help me change it. If there isn't a policy, help me get this event on the books to show that this board stands with its students. Either way, and simply put, I need your help. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be moving forward with our agenda. Dr. Terrell, do you? Consent agenda to you, item 4, consent agenda.
Before we go there, may I make just a few comments regarding Bill's comments this evening? And appreciate, Bill, the way that you've represented the lacrosse team and getting up to the microphone. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but appreciate how you've done that and the conversations we've had as well. I will tell you that, so the school board policy that talks about this, explains all of this, is 7510. But then with school board policies, there are administrative guidelines that go along with each school board policy or with many school board policies. So the admin guidelines are what gives our administrators, our schools, the meat, if you will, of how to enact the school board policy. So the admin guideline that refers to this is also 7510, but it's 7510A. And in there, it goes through and talks about all of the different facilities and who may use them. And in the policy, it actually identifies what class of groups different organizations are. There's 1, 2, and 3. And in there, the admin guideline talks through what facilities are available, what practice facilities are available, what performance facilities are available. And for our performance facilities outside, being football, baseball, softball, and soccer fields, those are all listed as not available. So those are the things that we've got to look at. We are continually looking at what can we do. How do we look at the bigger issue, I think, that is here, and that is to have it so that lacrosse can play on our campus. I know that you've mentioned that there are several schools who play in their football stadiums. For those schools, their football stadium is also their soccer stadium because they have one. We're fortunate here in Crown Point to have a soccer stadium, to have a football stadium. So with that being said, we are looking at long range, what can we do to be able to bring lacrosse onto the campus? We believe we've got some solutions that can work for that. We're just not at the point where we can share what those are going to be at this time. I know that's not what you guys would like to hear, because you'd like to hear, let's go, let's do it right now. that is where we're at with it, so.
You mentioned about the classes. We're class 2 because we're not our guidelines. Can this board change it at all?
The board can change, yes. Can they do that sitting here this evening? No. The way that lacrosse has been viewed in the past has been class 3, and we can get into a debate about should you be class 2, class 3, what that is. This isn't the time or the place for that. I'm just telling you, historically, that's where it has been classified, and that's why it's come up as that. So.
You know, it's just been pushed back so many times. Is there a reason why it can't be just class?
There is, and we don't get back and forth during this time, but yes.
Yeah, if I could interject, maybe one of the other board members, this is not a typical situation. Mr. Smith, you know, in our conversations, you presented, why don't we have a discussion? Nobody's opposed to that. The problem is, at this time, getting to where you want to go, you know, we haven't seen the opportunity to make the change fast enough for you to get where you need to go. I think that at best at this time, Dr. Terrell, Bill, and really just appreciate all of you guys coming. You can hear in the tone of my voice is something that, you know, we're not wanting to, you know, I'm just being honest that it's time to move forward this evening, and I'm unfortunately not optimistic to getting that May 11th game taken care of. But I think we need to move on with our meeting. We need to stick with the agenda that we have, and you know, for further discussion, please reach out to me. There's members that are willing to sit down and get you the answers and explain things that you need to hear.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Rest of the board, are you okay with moving forward? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we can come back to it during discussion period.
Sounds good. Sorry, I got logged out without, there we go, I'm back in. Okay, so moving forward, item 4, consent agenda. Dr. Terrell?
For your consideration this evening, we have 4.1, the regular business meeting notes that were taken, and the appropriation from rainy day fund. 4.2, the South Lake Career Cooperative Agreement. 4.3, the personnel agenda. And then 4.4, the voucher registered checks as listed in your board packet.
Thank you. You've heard the consent agenda as presented by Dr. Terrell. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel and second by Mr. Babjack. I'm sorry, moved by Mr. Hoffman and second by Mr. Babjack. Any questions or comments for Dr. Terrell? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Just because I was gone for a while, Dave, you didn't have to forget me.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, item 5, action items. We have 5.1, textbook and resource adoption. Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you. And if you guys would allow me, I'd like to come back to the consent agenda. We do have one of our assistant principals who will be joining our team here in Crown Point with us tonight. Alyssa Bell will be joining the Eisenhower staff, and we are very excited to welcome her. She is coming to us from the classroom and is very, we would like Alyssa to stand.
Just want to make sure we knew who we were looking at.
Yes.
Alyssa, would you like to introduce your guest who's with you here this evening?
Yeah, sorry, this is my husband, Tyler Bell. Yeah, we have a 9-month-old at home, but she is asleep right now. So if I was gonna brought her too, but yes, this is my husband. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Sabrina, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, we are very excited to welcome Alyssa. You will very soon find out how kid-centered she is. She's excited to work with and get to meet our staff at Eisenhower and really throughout the district, and is very excited to be part of this community. And I have every faith and confidence in her vision for teaching and learning here. So welcome.
Welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. And
Thank you.
Dr. Terrell had informed us that, you know, we're going to be excited about a new hire. So thank you for bringing that to our attention,
Of
that she
course.
was present this evening. We knew it was in the
Yes.
personnel agenda. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you
And
so
Mrs.
much.
Dado may be even more excited about her joining her staff as
Yes.
a
We, There will be a lot of energy over at Eisenhower next year, for sure. So we are very appreciative of the full-time assistant principals at our elementary building, so thank you very much. To go back to now, 5.1, after conducting an ELA elementary curriculum review that began in January and concluded in April, I am here tonight on behalf of administration to request the textbook and resource adoption for use beginning in 22-23 of the CKLA knowledge. As listed in the agenda, you will see the items that we are requesting for the resources to support appropriate academic standards for each course and grade level. The administration recommends to the school board that the school board approve the textbook or resource adoption for use beginning in 22-23.
Thank you, Mr. Mears. You've heard the recommendation to approve the textbook or resource adoption for use beginning in 22-23. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was motion by Mr. Babjack and second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments for Mr. Mears? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries 5-0. We'll move to 5.2, the out-of-country field trip to France and Spain. We have Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Crown Point School World Language Department is seeking approval for an out-of-country field trip to France and Spain for the summer of 2023. Trip will be offered to French and Spanish students in grades 10 through 12, and the teacher sponsors are Ashley Nazar and Jolene Smith. Trip has been booked through EF Educational Tours, which we have used for many, many years for these type of overseas trips. Liability and trip insurance are included in the entire package. Teachers have secured the required chaperones, and everything seems to be in order. The administration is recommending the school board approve this out-of-country field trip to France and Spain for the summer of 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Gianfermi. Heard the recommendation to approve the out-of-country field trip to France and Spain for Crown Point High School students from June 15th to 26th, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
The move by Mr. Angel and second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments from Mr. Gianfermi? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. And we have 5.3, disposition of obsolete curricular materials. Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Crown Point School is seeking school board approval to dispose of obsolete curricular materials which are no longer utilized by the school. Materials in question are old social studies textbooks in the areas of economics, government, history, and psychology. Per school board policy, if approved, textbooks would be disposed by offering to students, donating the materials, or appropriately disposing any remaining materials. The administration is recommending that the board authorize disposal of these obsolete curricular materials as outlined by board policy.
Mr. Gianfermi, you've heard the recommendation to dispose of obsolete curricular materials. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
A move by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments on the disposition of these materials? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And 5.4, policy revisions and additions. I think we're going to, Dr. Terrell, are you going to take this?
I am. So we're bringing to you tonight for your consideration a new board policy, Policy 1310. And this policy is related to school board members being able to participate in school board meetings via distance of whatever that might be, whatever that reason may be, as is spelled out in the policy. Just as a brief update for you, through Indiana code, there were changes made in light of the last 2.5, 3 years and the public emergency that enables now school boards, other civic boards to be able to have a policy in place to permit board members to be able to attend and participate and through voting as well, as long as they have a policy. So this policy that we're bringing to you tonight that is included for your review lays out the particulars for that. We are suggesting, and obviously your choice, to waive the first reading and go right to the second reading of this policy for approve it this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Terrell. For the recommendation to approve to waive the reading of the policy and approve policy 1310, do we have a motion?
I move to approve and waive the reading.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Hoffman and second by Mr. Angel. Any questions or comments? I think just thank Dr. Terrell, Mr. Keebler for putting this policy together. It came up for a little bit of discussion at the end of our last meeting, and it, I was unsure at the time, but it seems like it'd be the right way to go.
Was this a Neola policy?
We no longer are using Neola, so we actually got this one from ISBA
Okay.
and working at the state level with Julie. and
Follow their format.
That's correct.
You know what, I actually do have one question. What was the need, or was there a need to have a certain amount of time to declare that the board member would be absent? I think they said 24 hours. 24 hours.
They had actually indicated, their suggestion was like 36 to 48 hours. We went with 24 just simply to have time to facilitate getting a meeting set up digitally to be able to go back and forth with that.
Okay.
That's the reason for the 24 hours. If there was some kind of emergency situation that would take place, I think that's the conversation between Mr. Warney now, because he's the president, and I to see if we can facilitate that and do everything we can to make that happen.
Because I could just see it being, I like the flexibility of being able to do this, but I could see the need for, if somebody were to be ill and didn't want to come to the meeting, but they were well enough to still attend virtually, or if somebody gets called out for work and, they're traveling, that type of thing, those things can happen last minute, so there is flexibility to still have those.
At this point, ultimately, the loss would be that the vote, you'd still obviously attend the meeting, the
Right.
vote just wouldn't be
Just the vote
official.
wouldn't count, okay.
Right,
And I
I
don't
think
have I think that's for you guys too, to have the discussion, if you'd like that to be moved, to just inform rather than to give within 24 hours. I don't have a problem with that. That's amongst the five of you, and how you decide to, utilize the policy.
yeah, when I read through it, I just kind of saw it as a formality, but you're right, it could.
It seems like a
I
last
would
minute,
say either we
a
could-
last minute situation would be more likely than
Right.
a planned out one, if we're on vacation or something like that, then we're not obviously gonna either attend or.
So would it be
you know in
necessary to-
advance, but why not just be able
Would
to
the-
do it?
Would there be wording necessary for the instance that, I don't know, that the electronically you can't be set up to join the, right now it's given the 24 hours notice for prep.
The only other thing I would, caution is the fact that we have to have so many in person.
Right.
To still have, the board meeting count as a board meeting. And if we were to get to where, say, two of you had already said, hey, I can't be there, and a third one came up last minute, all of a sudden now we don't have the quorum to have the meeting. So I think there's some concerns there with that as well. I'm not saying that that's the reason to not do it. I think it's just something that you guys need to talk through. To answer your question, what we could do is just, go forward with accepting it with said change to policy, whatever that might be.
Our attendance is very good at these meetings, so we don't utilize this, we wouldn't be utilizing this all the time, so we can approve it now and then revise it if it's not working down the road.
That's what I'd prefer to.
That's fine.
I like the policy as delivered to us.
I thank the administration because I'm the board member who pretty much requested this because of my retired status, so.
Maybe it should be considered a benefit of serving on the board after 20 years.
Is that it?
To
Tom doesn't have to do anything.
Okay, so let's take vote to approve, to waive the reading of the policy and approve the policy as presented 1310. All's in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry 5-0. 5.5, Colonel John Wheeler Middle School renovation bid package. Mr. Reese?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Early this month, we received 28 bids over 12 different bid categories for the renovation of Colonel John Wheeler Middle School. Low bids equaled $21,830,824. That's just slightly higher than our budget of $21,750,000. The School Corporation or Skillman have worked extensively experience with the winning low bidders. No concerns about their ability to perform the work. With that, we recommend approval of low bids as attached for a total of $21,830,824.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. I know at times I might get lazy or sloppy on repeating some of the recommendations, but I will go through with detail on this one. The recommendation is to approve contracts for Colonel Wheeler Middle School and additions and renovations and related work project as follows. The general trades to Gary Up Construction in the amount of $7,679,500. For masonry to Adams Masonry in the amount of $2,480,000. For roofing to EC Bavilla in the amount of $1,975,649. For aluminum entrances, glazings to Trout Glass and Mirror in the amount of $395,900. For metal studs, drywall, and ceilings to Kleckner Interior Systems in the amount of $1,353,300. For painting to Oosterbaan and Sons in the amount of $288,170. For a terrazzo hard tile and art mosaic and tile in the amount of $769,900. For carpet and resilient flooring to Midwest Tile and Interiors in the amount of $360,005. For fire protection to Hill Fire Protection in the amount of $250,100. For plumbing to Mechanical Concepts in the amount of $970,000. And for mechanical to Arctic Engineering in the amount of $2,893,100. For electrical to Sargent Electric in the amount of $2,415,200. Do we have a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Babjack and second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments for Mr. Reese, or even include Dr. Turtle on this one?
Dr. Terrell, just for the public's information, the reason for the addition and the work being done to Wheeler?
So one of the things that we're doing as we're building Taft, we're making sure that this will be comparable in what it offers as Taft will be, along with the addition of a new auditorium, bringing the Learning Center in to being a portion of Taft, or a portion of Wheeler, again, getting us up to where we can have 1,400 students in that middle school. We hear repeatedly about all the people who are moving here and subdivisions and developers, and schools can't keep up with it. We have a thorough plan that is in front of you that has been expressed here, both in our board meetings and in, on our website, that puts us in a position to be able to handle those, the growth that we're about to experience, so that we continue to experience, I should say.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Reese, and we'll come back to you for 5.6, the vacant land farmed by a third party via lease agreement.
Thank you. The school corporation owns 2 vacant parcels of land that are tillable. We worked with both of the farmers since the district acquired each of those properties. Mr. Wayne Nelson for the State Street property for $3,000 rent, and the EJ Farms for the property in the vicinity of 231 in Arizona for $8,200. So with that, we recommend approval of the farm leases for the 2022 growing season to those 2 individuals, companies.
You've heard a recommendation to approve the farm leases with Wayne Nelson for the property located at 11052-11084 State Street, and with EJ Farms for property located at 3615 East 129th Avenue, both located in Crown Point, Indiana. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel and second by Mr. Hoffman. Any questions or comments from Mr. Reese?
Just thanks to Mr. Reese for getting these cleaned up. We've had just a couple little issues with making sure paperwork and all that was right, and not being able to lease out to additional tenants, so appreciate your work on that.
David, I'm going to abstain on this vote due to conflict.
Understand. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 4-0, and Mr. Smith abstained from the vote. Item 6, information items. Superintendent discussion groups. That's probably Mr. Smith. Any updates from Cedar Lake?
No, I think I sent an email to Todd, who shared it with you guys today, regarding some of their policies that they recently passed that you just may want to take a quick look at. And then Todd, I think you may have been meeting down at Cedar Lake. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to what's going on down there.
Yes, we've met with them several times trying to work through all of the appropriate plans for MacArthur and the expansion there. Feel like we're in a pretty good spot with them moving forward. We have a timeline that we really need to adhere to be able to get in and start working on that building while students are out for the summer. So we appreciate the work that's gone into that and the way that they're handling that as well. So I feel like we're gonna be in a good spot.
How about anything out of, let's go Winfield, Mr.
Nothing
Hoffman
in-
or Mr. Angel?
Nothing in Winfield. Crown Point redevelopment recently received their annual TIF report, and I provided a printed copy of that to the superintendent if anybody desires to review it.
Matt took it right away, and I haven't been able to pry it out of his hands since.
The Crown Point basically is phasing out one TIF area and then trying to expand another one to take advantage of anticipated development, so.
Okay. Let's move to, unless there's anything else, let's move to 6.2, Director of Elementary Education.
Thank you,
Ramirez.
Mr. President and board members. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our teachers and our blended instruction design specialists for the work they've done in curating and refining our ELA curriculum over the past 6 to 7 years in our learning management system and supporting student needs, teacher needs that have evolved, and really then now for their focus over the past 4 months in reviewing a new curriculum to make sure that we are best meeting the needs of our students through a knowledge-based curriculum. Moving forward, I also would like to thank those who will be building and editing our Buzz courses, as this is really integral work for our students and for our teachers that will start this summer. So I am very appreciative to all teachers and administrators involved over the process of our curriculum review and then our recommendation that was posed today. I'd also like to thank our principals. We are in the throes of our hiring season and teacher interviews. We have a lot of talent in the pool of teachers that we are bringing in and are very excited to see how they will contribute to aligning our educational experience across our district for our students and becoming active community members. Any
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment, David. I kind of alluded to this in our exec session. Read this morning from information produced by the Indiana School Boards Association that a survey showed 96% of the school corporations in the state of Indiana are reporting a shortage of teachers. 96%. Another school corporation that has 1,500 employees had 120 open positions. So there's a potential significant problem, which we have been fortunate not to have to deal with. So I want to thank our administration and our leadership team for trying to deal with these issues and keep us fully employed.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. And now 6.3, Director of Secondary Education, Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I just want to thank our middle school administrators, faculty, and staff. We're in the throes of iLearn testing, and I especially want to thank the students, because when you walk in those buildings, those are long days, and the kids are doing about as good a job as you can expect out of them, and it's just really orderly and well-organized, and I really appreciate their efforts right now during this time. So one more week, and we'll be into makeup season for that, so thank you to all of them. And I also want to point out, we are in the throes of kind of our senior celebration and awards nights. We already had our academic laude ceremony right after our last board meeting. But I do want to point out one that will be happening next Wednesday at noon, right on the Circle Drive, our military recognition for all our seniors who will be joining our armed forces. And it's really well done with Mr. Marcinek and his admin team. So if you have a moment, maybe take a lunch early or whatever, and stop right there at that Circle Drive at noon, and we just recognize those kids, and we're kind of thanking them, paying it forward for what they're going to be doing for us. So that's all I have. Any other questions you have?
I believe I watched the video of the Mr. Marcinek and the military last year, and it would be, when did you say that's going to take place?
It's May 4th, Wednesday at noon, right on the
Okay.
Circle Drive in front of the school.
That was really nice to see. If anybody didn't see it in person, there was a video circulating. Take a look if you get a chance. And if I'm not mistaken, it was extremely windy.
It was windy.
Yeah. I remember. So no, that was good to hear that's a continuing tradition. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Gianfermi? Director of Exceptional Education, Ms. Paskus?
Good evening, Mr. Warney, members of the board. Tonight you approved 2 school psychologists that we're adding to our team. We have 3, we will have 5 next year. So we all thank you from the Exceptional Education Department. We're gaining 2 experienced dynamite school psychologists who will join the team next year. Last week, we held our parent advisory group meeting and had a really nice conversation and dialogue with some of our exceptional education parents, explained the new construction projects that are underway and how exceptional education has been at the table for the design and discussion of what is needed for all students at the buildings. And a reminder that this Wednesday at the high school at 5:30, we will be holding our first annual transition fair. So this is something we have to consider for our students once they turn 14. It's part of their IEP. We have to look at their education, their independent living, and any training and employment. So we have colleges, we have like day school treatment kind of places. We have the Bureau of Developmental Disabilities, Voc Rehab. Over 40 vendors will be there for a couple hours for our parents and students to walk around and get some information. So love for you to stop by.
Thank you, Ms. Paskus. Any-
2 things. There was a date earlier you had given us, some kind of event going on at the high school. Can we
That
get
is
that date for what that was again?
Wednesday, May 25th is our unified game day. It's our Special Olympics game
Starts
day.
right in the morning, or?
It's 10 to 1.
Okay. And then the other thing is, how many parents were at the meeting you mentioned? With
There were about 15 invited and 4 attended in person, 1 virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Business office, anything from business office, Mr. Reese?
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Director of Communications, Ms. Allen?
Thank you. I want to take a moment to thank the individuals in our buildings who manage the social media pages, mainly Facebook. At the end of the year, I start running some numbers to see how we've been doing, and this afternoon I was pleasantly surprised to see that we have had more than 1,500 Facebook posts between 12 buildings this year. They've been viewed nearly 1 million times by 300,000 different individuals, and the school year's not even over yet. So this was just from the start of school to now.
Thank you.
I think we'll have a problem if the Director of Communications ever passes and has nothing to say.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, Ms. Allen, while we're on you, can you give us the next 2 dates of Coffee and Conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. We have one coming up Thursday this week, which is April 28th, 1 p.m. at the Winfield Library. And then we have the last one of the year in May. That's Thursday, May 12th at 4:15. That one will be at the Cedar Lake Library.
Thank you. And a couple of us were able to attend the first one in town here at the library. Appreciate the work you've put into getting those set up. So thank you. Where are we going? 6.8, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Terrell.
And in transition, also, Mrs. Allen has, and her department has put out the latest edition of our Super Things. So if you haven't, keep up on those. It's just they're a joy when we get to go out and film them with our kids. It's amazing to see the things happening in our buildings. So just another great way to keep those in front of you. A few things I'd like to mention this evening. As you heard tonight with the long list of those who were bidding on the projects for Wheeler, I want to thank our community members here who are bidding on our projects. This is a rough time in the world of bidding for projects. There are increases that are going up every 3 and 4 days. And because we're a school corporation, there's a no escalation clause that's built into that when they bid these. And yet we're still getting dozens of individuals and companies bidding for our jobs. We appreciate them and the way that they're continuing to sharpen their pencils and really give us best options that we can have for our construction projects, the many that we have going on. Also then want to thank Gibraltar and Skillman. They both, Skillman with the way that they do their estimating, prides themselves on coming in as close to that dollar as they can, and especially with the challenging times that are going on right now. Oh, I wouldn't have said this if I knew Dion just walked in. And how they do that, we appreciate their hard work. But both Skillman and Gibraltar, we've had a couple of late nights with meetings with different communities around here, with different projects that are going on, and they're always right there. Any changes that we need, they're willing to stay and make sure that those happen before we get there. So appreciate them, along with our attorney Cheryl Zick, and the extra work that they've been doing to help us stay on course with the things that we need to do here in Crown Point Schools to be ready for the things that are coming. So appreciate them.
Anything else, Dr. Terrell?
Not at this time.
All right. Let's move into other business of the Board of School Trustees. Who'd like to start?
Well, then I'll start. Oh, usually someone else is ready to jump. Well, I just want to address the crowd in the audience, the young men that are here from the lacrosse team. If you guys don't know, I see Coach Smirkansky, who I was fortunate enough to coach back in the day in Little League, and I'm an avid sports backer. I don't care what sport it is. Never played lacrosse. One of the few sports I probably don't know any rules about the sport, other than seeing it on TV and just following a little bit with the college game. I understand the frustration with being able to play a sport, maybe not be able to use it, but it basically boils down to a couple things. One, that it not being a sanctioned sport. Ourselves as board members are here to protect the financial interests of the school corporation and to educate kids. And it being non-sanctioned just limits us in our capabilities of being able to accept things like this. I can tell you what Dr. Terrell mentioned, things are moving forward. It probably won't bring you guys any satisfaction, but I realize the dedication and hard work that's put in to practicing a sport and acknowledging what your team captain, Mr. McCall, mentioned tonight, mentioning on how I wanted to play in front of on your school campus. So I just wanted to go, I couldn't go without saying anything. I wish I could do more. It's just a situation that sometimes the way things are laid out, it just makes things very difficult. So I wish you guys nothing but the best of success.
Yeah, I think it plays out into two parts. One is what can we do in the near future or even like long-term planning? And that is stuff that this board, the superintendent, the athletic department have been working on. And I see good things happening in the future, but unfortunately, I don't know what that does for the seniors on the team this year. Several of us get approached by members of the community, different people that we know, friends and families, and I hear about this. There are a lot of people advocating for you. So it's not just you guys coming here, which is very cool, but you have a large fan base and people that are trying to pull for the betterment of your situation. So I think I'd like to say thank you to Todd, because Todd is the first person that has actually heard some of these concerns, and there is an action plan moving forward. But like I said, I don't know. Same thing that Mr. Angel said. I don't know what that's going to mean in the very short term.
Bill, how many students, how many players did you say will be joining you for your youth? You said at your next game you'll be honoring the youth program? 78 players. Let's hope that all of you sitting in this room today, will feel proud to have come out this evening and encourage this board to consider things that when a policy is in place forever doesn't mean it's always, that it can't be changed. Again, just echoing that, we're sorry that we don't see it being able to be changed fast enough for you guys, but I hope that you understand by being here, there's 78 kids right now that you might change the road for them. It's, as Mr. Angel said, you can't not say anything. You're all sitting here playing a sport, and we all love the passion for sports. And, so I feel the same way, speaking right now, that you got to acknowledge you guys being here and what you're trying to accomplish. And, I just want to tell you that, regardless of the outcome of your request, you represent Crown Point, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Hey, Bill, could you give us those 2 home game dates and times?
May 11th is the Munster, which is our senior night, and then this upcoming Wednesday is against the Fort at Bulldog Field.
And what's the start time for those?
Start times are 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock against LaPorte on Wednesday, and then 6 o'clock against Munster.
The May 11th is the Munster?
Yes.
Senior.
I'm sorry?
That's senior.
No, correct.
How many seniors? Can you guys raise your hands, seniors? Okay. Thank you.
I would just add that, Bill, you have handled yourself and conducted yourself very, very well before this board, very professionally. It's honestly, it's very impressive, and your team should be proud of you in the way you've represented yourself. And I concur with the sentiments of my colleagues up here that we may not be able to move quick enough, unfortunately. However, sometimes by you advocating your position, others will receive the benefits of that advocacy in the future. I would suggest that I think, Dave, you touched on this earlier. I never had the opportunity, besides reading your emails, Bill, and listening to you, and perhaps a phone call or two from a coach or parent, that we sit with you. I'd like to hear what you'd like to do in the future, or perhaps where lacrosse is going and how we could be of assistance. We are partners in this community, and I would like to hear more. And so if there are a few board members here that would be willing to sit, or with Todd or whoever else would be present, maybe that's something you can discuss, Bill, with your coaches or other players, that maybe we could set up something to see how we could help and assist in the future. I do know that your voices are heard. You guys have been heard. And I'm sorry that we may not be able to move quick enough, but understand that it's not falling on deaf ears.
Just want to backtrack a bit to say that, just so you know, when we're saying not able to move quick enough, that's not a result of you bringing up the email to us a couple weeks ago. Okay, so it's not, you brought this to our attention, was it August, September, October? It was last fall. Yes, the email that came out brought this conversation back to the surface, but it wasn't not talked about at length in the fall. So I just want to kind of collect our thoughts here. We keep saying that fast and fast of it. You brought it to our attention in fall, so don't feel as if, like for yourself, don't want you to walk away and say, shoot, I should have, hit him harder in December or January. This conversation was really brought to us in full attention in the fall, and we didn't ignore it at that point in time. This just brought it back to the surface for us, so I kind of wanted to clear that up a little bit.
And I think you guys know, you've noticed the cranes out there. There's a lot of projects going on around the high school. So the timing for this conversation is very good, right? Because there's a lot of development, the facilities are being developed out there. So it would have been difficult to move what you said, Dave, earlier.
We can come back with any thoughts to this. I want to bring up what I said I would at our coffee talk in the other business, is the start of the school calendar, the start date. Yes, please.
I don't want my silence to be misconstrued that I'm not supportive or cognizant of your requests, and I echo the sentiments expressed by my fellow board persons with respect to your request, so. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. So at our coffee and conversations, it was a good hour and 15-minute first time. A couple things I want to mention is, number one, through the process of Dr. Terrell asking us things that are important to us as a board, this was one of the things that we've all kind of heard about these taking place around the state. We've heard presentations at the fall conference about, and that's a neat idea. It's something that would be nice for us to do in Crown Point. And Miss Allen, Dr. Terrell made that happen. Now about an hour and 15-minute conversation. For the most part, it was pretty much just an open discussion of, hey, Dr. Terrell standing in front of the group, just taking questions. We talked at pretty good length. Ms. Carr was present. Sorry, I got your voicemail at our 5 o'clock meeting today, so I did not mean to call you back. But the school calendar. Board, we have anything to discuss about school calendar? I had just said that this calendar was released in a very, in a proud moment, February of
February 21st of.
February 21.
21.
You know, when the calendar was put together, we were proud as a board that we were getting a 2-year calendar out in front of everybody for them to make their plans and have some structure that we were hoping to move forward with. Right, Dr. Terrell, would be a continuous 2-year calendar. So I just want to throw out there to begin with that it wasn't we by no means tried to hide this calendar. It was something that we were proud to get out there. Yes, the conversations about the fair took place. And we had a lot of conversation then about the fair. The board meeting that we brought up the vote for the calendar, we talked about the fair. I might be wrong for saying this personally, but one of the things I said to Ms. Carr when they were talking about safety, we might not talk about, and this is the part that I could just be wrong for saying it this way, we might not talk about or address safety in publicly because it's becoming embedded that is the number one. That Mr. Gianfermi nodding with, and you were responsible with Mr. Akiwa now, Mr. Colson is out in the hallway, you know, and to say that safety wasn't the number one concern about this and that it's not, you know, so I feel like we took some emails to the board that there's not a plan. Well, there may not be a plan that's 100% complete to release to the public or a plan to release. There would never be a safety plan released to the public. It's not, you're not going to tell the public that we've got 20 people here that we wouldn't normally have and 10 here and 10 this. Maybe in private, Dr. Terrell will share something like that or you can conversation with a board member, but maybe I'm being too emphatic. Safety is the number one concern and it's something that
And we've seen nothing, but increased communication with the city and emergency services and the police department, fire department between Artie. I know Mark's been involved with those discussions. I mean, we have a good relationship with the city. So all of these things, I'm very confident that all of these things are being discussed and addressed, and that safety will be priority number one. And that they will do nothing but their best to make sure everybody's safe during those 3 days.
And the other thing that I've said consistently, and I mentioned at the coffee talk, was that 2 years ago, if the petition would have floated around to start school after the fair, I would have been the first one to sign it. But it wasn't for the educational, that our role, again, just as we're speaking to the other issues this evening, it's our responsibility financially and educationally to do the best for the kids. And
yeah, and it was good at the coffee talk. There weren't any current teachers there, right? We did have a couple retired teachers,
Right.
and some of them spoke up saying that they wished they would have had an opportunity to have this schedule that is going to happen this next school year. They spoke about the importance of having the extra time off around fall break to kind of re-energize and spend some time, with their families and what that meant to them mentally. And so it was good to hear. It was good to hear them talk about that and be in favor of it. And I do feel confident of, the fact that we did go out to the community and ask them, is this something that you're in favor of? And we did it in a stage approach. We're trying to balance the semesters. We didn't do it all at once. We did it over a course of 2 years, keeping what was best for, the teachers and the students in mind the whole time. So that board meeting, I did go back and look at it. It's nice to have those videos from time to time. That February 21st of 2021 meeting, there's 20 minutes of discussion about the survey results. Every one of us spoke, about what we thought of that. So no, I'm proud of the way the board handled that calendar. So it is good to get a nice 2-year rotation going as well.
yeah, the amount of debate that could even take place right now on, splitting hairs because, and for example, you get past that week and now you're starting on a Monday with a full week. And if we push into December, you're going to have someone that's not happy that you're going until the 23rd of December and they want different plans. And we've added the Wednesday before Thanksgiving that there's been much appreciation shown for. And I think that we all agree, yes, it's about the students and the education, but very, very, very close number two is the teachers. And getting Dr. Taylor, you've mentioned that it's split. It's not, it might not be 80-20, it might not be 60-40, it might be 55-45, but we need to, this is a process that we need to continue to make sure we smooth out to, I mean, the teachers we want to really consider, yes, the parents, but the teachers have to be at the top of the list.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I would almost be in favor of in the future that the survey goes to the teachers and, the parents and they're just gonna have to deal with it, but that's a little bit blunt. I mean, so, any other thoughts or comments on on the calendar?
I'd add one thing. It was mentioned tonight and was misquoted in the paper with some journalistic liberty that I said that safety didn't matter. Not quite what I said. It's kind of like going to church on Sunday and picking what you want to hear from the preacher and saying, well, he said this or he said that. Not quite. You got to look at the context of the message. Those of you who know me know that safety is always the top of our concern with that as well. Just wanted to make sure that as you sit up here and say safety is number one, well, he said, not quite.
Well, I think this is something that, I feel the need to comment on. I agree with what you said, Scott, and I understand that nobody's excited about starting school early. I mean, the best weather we have is August, September. I think we all know that. If we could, we'd start school in September if we could, but we can't. I mean, at the end of the day, our decisions have to be based on education. It has to be based on what's best for the students. Finishing the semester before the break is going to be a huge plus to the children's academics, their performance on testing, which then translates into GPA, which translates into scholarships and everything else. So we can't be short-sighted about that. I understand it impacts, people's lives with the fair. But we're consistently provided facts and we have to make decisions, and sometimes it's not a perfect world. I can tell you, and I know the board knows this, I've shared with you guys on multiple occasions that there are other states that are starting August 1st, August 3rd. That is the movement to push forward and start earlier for these reasons, for academic reasons. So I know we're not the only school in the area that's starting. I think there's some that's starting even earlier than ourselves. So with that being said, I would have no problem going on the record saying we should start as late as possible every semester under the circumstances. So we look at the calendar and we start as late as we can. I'm a favor of the fall break, the week. That's a personal thing that impacted me, like many of you players out here. I never got a spring break because I played baseball in high school. I couldn't go anywhere. I don't think that's fair either. I think there's an opportunity for people who play spring sports to be able to travel with their families and spend family time in the fall, and that's important to me, and I'm personally not going to apologize for that. So I know it's not perfect. Ms. Carr, thank you for coming today and speaking and sharing your thoughts. I understand. But my position is, and I agree that we made the best decision for the school corporation and our students and our teachers.
Again, we can circle back to anything, but I did have to I want to bring up that we're going to have the retreat coming up in May. Dr. Terrell sent me a rough draft agenda, pretty final draft, broken into segments of about 25 minutes, I think 5 segments, 25 minutes, something like that, with a little bit of break in between. We have plenty of time to send some recommendations, questions, however, but we just bring it up here so we can discuss, because this will take place before our next board meeting. And then that leads me to asking Ms. Green, there's a decent amount of things going on in the next 6-8 weeks. Could we get an update of events, please? We've said in the past, and if any of us are able to make it to certain, I know we have a retirement breakfast coming up, if we get a date for that, and I know we need to be respectful and responsible to let people know if we're going to attend. We have the retirement breakfast, we have the coffee talks.
And that's more for the two of us that are over 50, Diana, than the young guys here, so if you would, please.
Well, and even Ms. Green adding on there the military tribute, whatever might be out on the agenda or the calendar in the next 6 weeks would be great. Thank you.
What was the date of our
Retreat?
retreat again? I'm sorry.
Is it Tuesday the 10th?
Tuesday, yeah, May 10th.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
We have those calendars.
Yeah.
At 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Dinner will be served at 4:45.
See, I had one other, we had the calendar. Well, maybe I'll come back to it. Any other thoughts for other business? Well, we could always hit it at statements of appreciation out of order if we need to. Let's move forward then to the board statements of appreciation and recognition. Mr. Smith, anything this evening?
I'll pass. Thanks.
Mr. Babchick?
Yeah, I would just like to say once again, thank you to Brooke and Todd for organizing these coffee talks. I'm sure there was multiple people involved, but the fact that that you guys are actually out there, that you're out there now, making yourself available to the community, that's something that previous administrators or previous superintendents have not done. And so I appreciate you taking the time to make the rounds to various access points too, to make it easier for people to attend those. Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman?
Couple of things. One is that last week we have, twice a year, the Indiana School Boards Association has regional meetings. And these meetings are held at T-Bowls. This area is part of Region 1. There are 10 regions in the Indiana School Board Association. But we have the best attended regional meeting here in Northwest Indiana. But my point is that this board was recognized at that meeting. I don't remember now exactly, were we exemplary? Todd, do you recall
I had to leave before.
what our board?
Yeah.
But to attain that status, the majority of your board members have to do essentially continuing education. And we qualified, and we're one of, I think, 4 or 5 boards that were recognized last Wednesday night by the Indiana School Boards Association. Secondly, Dr. Terrell mentioned that a lot of our consideration of various matters is directly dependent upon the cooperation we receive from our municipalities within our school district. And I can certainly tell you that over the last 2 years that our relationships with Crown Point, Cedar Lake, Winfield have improved considerably, and it's a lot easier to get things coordinated and get things done than it had been for prior years. And we appreciate those organizations, those administrations coming around and working with the school corporation, and the school corporation trying to work and accommodate them. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Angel?
Regarding that T-Bowls meeting that we did have, the 4 board members that were present didn't eat any chicken and ate the most perch anybody can see 4 individuals eat, just for the record. As we were recognized for it at one point too at the meeting. My accommodation awards tonight go out to our Colonel John Wheeler and Taft Middle School Band and Orchestras, who won the ISMA, Indiana State School Music Association's All Music Award for the state. So congratulations to both of them. And the second one to Scott Reed, who was our assistant girls basketball coach for over 40 years. He announced his retirement from coaching. Still going to teach at Taft, but spent 40 years teaching our young ladies of the community at the varsity, freshman, sophomore level. So congratulations to Scott, and a well-deserved best wishes in his retirement from coaching.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. And board members, I thank Ms. Green for I don't know if this got down to you, but the folder that maybe she'll continue for us with some achievements from, did you guys get this down there?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll make sure it gets passed around next time. But, for example, the Cromwell High School student TV and radio programs, I did not know or see in the news or know anywhere that the group recently won the Indiana Association of School Boards Radio School of the Year for the first time in Crown Point. And there's a list of several first and second places for interview, talk show, sportscast. So it's nice to see. I mean, this is a program that Mr. Angel's been on. You've joined them for a radio show a couple times, right?
Yeah. Must not gone too long, been invited back. a couple of years.
Oh, and so that's maybe, so the Sportscast,
Too much or something.
so Sportscast did get a first place. You weren't, so, but,
Because all you want to talk about is the Vikings, and they want to talk about the Bears.
We could
No,
have
but
a
this
whole
is,
nother meeting on that.
thank you for sharing. This is neat, and thank you and congratulations to the media program for their accomplishments. And also like to recognize Coach Strayer being inducted into the Indiana High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. That's a heck of a career accomplishment for him, and yeah, I know he's passionate about the game, and congratulations to him. We'll pass this around at the meetings and make sure we're always kept up on any news we might miss off the Twitter feed or wherever else the information's coming from. So, but anything else this evening? If not, look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel and second by Mr. Hoffman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.